Hi, this is Ones to Watch Chef's Choice. I'm Abby Kenna.
I'm Ben Reilly.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
Great.
Are you comfy right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to get real situated and stuff.
Get situated.
I don't know if I want to sit like this.
I always start like this and then,
I'm too big to crisscross applesauce.
I know that's the perk of being the size of a 12-year-old when you're in your 20s.
Fair. Fair.
Curl right up. So are you LA based?
No.
Okay,
I'm
that's what I thought.
out here often enough though. I'm out here every other month, but no, I'm Atlanta based.
Okay,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Do you like LA?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't think I would move here.
Yeah.
But I love the city. I always come out here. I always have a good time. I think it's dope to work. I think it's dope to just feel the energy of the city and stuff like that.
Yeah. How does it compare to Atlanta?
It's very different. I don't know how to explain how different it is. But I think it's also because I've been in Atlanta for a while, so it's my familiarity with the Atlanta scene and city is way different than Los Angeles.
Yeah, different kind of home feeling.
Yeah. LA feel just I don't know, even though it'd be work, it feel like vacation at the same time.
Well, yeah, because everyone's I feel like I'm driving on the freeway and everyone's going 1,000,000 miles an hour and then they actually have nowhere to be. And whenever they get to their destination, they're the most lazy individuals.
I can see that.
It's
Speaking of freeway,
yes.
I've never experienced LA traffic until this week.
Once you do,
Yeah.
constant fear.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
I've never used Google Maps more than since moving to LA.
Really?
My screen time, the highest one.
Really?
Always the maps app.
No, that's crazy.
Because I could be going 15 minutes away from my home and it'll
Mhm.
take me an hour based on whatever fuck shit has happened.
Oh, we could curse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. No,
Just opened so many doors.
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
But that's crazy. Yeah. I like it out here though. I
Yeah.
do. I really do.
What are you out here to do on this trip?
We just did a show at the Echo last night.
Yes, you did.
It was my first headlining show.
That's awesome.
First solo show in LA.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really dope.
That's awesome.
Really dope, really intimate crowd, and
Yeah, that's a great venue for feeling very connected.
yeah,
with the crowd.
it was awesome. It was great.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So you're celebrating the release of the Not Your Hero for Hire EP.
Mhm.
That one's such a tongue twister for me, and I
Really?
don't know what.
Not your
I
hero
keep
for
wanting
hire.
to say Not Your Hire for Hero.
Fair. For sure. Yeah, not your hero for hire.
Yeah, back in August.
Mhm.
How's that release been treating you so far?
So far so good. I feel like it's with every release, there's always the song that I don't expect to do really well that does really well.
Yeah.
So seeing which song is the one people might request the most or
Right.
just want to hear the most always not throws me off but makes me say really,
Right.
you know.
What was it for the EP?
So it's my song Yandu.
Put the crown to your heart if you cross me. Everything I learned by that bitch, mama taught me. Everything I earned from this shit really off me. If I don't return from the lick, they caught me. Won't say a word cause I can't sing off key. Won't save a bird cause the bitch talk wafty. Give a good dick, have a walk around like me. You copy. I wake up, count Yandu. Gotta tend to the shit, I'm responsible.
That's the closing track,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I thought Jackpot would be the one that everybody would take to, but
Yeah.
but that's because it's my favorite one, and it's always
Right.
the ones where I'm this is my favorite one that I feel people will like, but it usually works other ways.
Of course, they do exactly the opposite of what you wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Always.
But it's been well, it's been good to see the reactions to the project and see which songs people take to help me figure out what direction I want to go in next for my album.
Right.
Because that's really what the EP served as. A lot of most of the songs from the EP were ideas that I was working on for my album that was they don't really fit. So
Right.
After putting it out, it was good to see okay, if I want to do singles for the album, they would have to feel similar or kind of, you know, touch those.
Yeah, you're like testing the waters a little bit. Like, what are people hooking on to?
Exactly.
That's great. So, if people were listening to your music for the very first time, what would you want them to start with? Whether it's from the EP or not, what's like the very first thing you'd want them to be introduced to?
Like I said, for me,
Yeah.
if I was to hear my music for the first time, like the songs that it would be my like rap songs where I'm like,
yeah,
damn, this motherfucker can rap. Like, so it would be like songs like a Red Bird or a Charlie Charlie, Let the Sample Work,
right,
or Apply Yourself Then Touch It Back. Like songs where it's like, okay, like you can rap and like
yeah,
you're good.
Something that's gonna like blow people out of the water. First thing.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
I was reading up a lot about a red bird and like the whole concept that came with the cardinal and everything from that. I would love to hear you speak on that, like in your own words.
It's unfortunate when accidents happen on purpose. Your nervousness is clouding your judgment, no longer pulling my punches. You hold your breath, you holding nuts, nigga, trust I hold grudges. I'm here to push discussion, of course. If you want it, so be it. Ain't no rush in the boy, I'm a post in the force.
I mean, long story short, I done told this story like a million times, but the whole concept behind the Red Bird thing, it came from, oh hi, hello.
Oh, a sweet old man. Hey.
How you doing?
He's probably going to the post office. It's right next door.
Got you. I'm like, he just stopped and stared. I'm like, what's he doing?
Hey.
But the concept behind the whole like freelance Redbird thing, freelance is in itself was just me taking like the word free and seeing how many times I could flip it and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And the Redbird concept really it came from like, so I came up with the freelance project. I recorded the freelance project like 2 months during the whole COVID pandemic thing.
Yeah.
So while we were on lockdown, I was in the house for like 2 months straight, and I just chefed up the project. And for me, what I always like to do, I like to go on runs, like morning runs.
Okay.
And that was something I would do, obviously, like for health, but also it was like at the time it was like super therapeutic for me. It was like a thing for me to get out the house, get some fresh air, and really just be like one with their environment. Not to sound corny, but like
no, it really like changes the day by starting it like outside.
Exactly.
Because I'll so just like scroll through social media.
No, 1,000%, 1,000%. So like, especially at the time of the pandemic, it was something that I made sure to do. And on my runs, I would always like see red cardinal birds, and I would always be like, why the fuck I keep seeing these things? So I seen them so frequently that it made me Google like, okay, what does it mean when I keep seeing this? Yeah. And I learned that, you know, red cardinal birds like signify peace, freedom, a loved one who's no longer with you, coming to let you know that everything's okay. Yeah. Peace, freedom, tranquility, like just a whole bunch of things like that. So over time I was like, that's really dope. And I kept seeing them. And I was like, all right, I'm interested. So I started to go down the rabbit hole. And that's when I started to learn, like, okay, the red cardinal bird is the male, the brown cardinal bird is the female. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a song called Red Bird about me. And I'm going to make Brown Bird a love song. And then I kept digging deeper. And I was like, oh, like the longest they lived in like captivity was like 13 years. Wow. And like the longest they lived in like freedom was like 28 years or something like that. Huh. And I was like, oh, that's fire. So I challenged myself to make a project that's 13 songs long within a 28-minute time frame. And
what a fun little like mind game that
is. Yeah, it was definitely fun. But like it wasn't supposed to be a super duper like elaborate concept. And to me it isn't. But like I guess when I break it down it sounds like it. But like for me it was just like, oh, this would be fun. And I mean, that's the artist in you. You're like, let me take all of this like puzzle of a concept, but it's actually quite simple. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what the whole Redbird thing, and like I kind of made that like a persona, type of thing. Because after that, I dropped Freelance Charlie, and Charlie is the name I gave the bird. Oh yeah. So, yeah.
I loved reading into that concept. I didn't grow up very spiritual at all, but as I've gotten older, I've like universe signs just like they won't leave you.
Yeah.
And mine in LA is always like hummingbirds. I never saw one growing up. And then I made like a really big decision one time on the phone with my brother and a hummingbird flew by and like never stopped seeing them.
Right.
So when I read up about the cardinal stuff, I was like, okay,
That's
I
really cool. Yeah,
totally relate to this.
Yeah, it was interesting for me because I'm used to seeing pigeons. so I feel you on that one for sure.
Yeah. Sonically though, that's also a great intro to your music.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Off of the EP, I feel like the one that I keep going back to and like recommending to people is Photo Shoot.
Camera action, pussy boy was hiding, credit card maxim, hoes on maxim. You don't understand the swag, cause I got this shit patent. Seats Paula Patton, I put the fact in faction. We was just in fashion week, eating pita bread. Quickly made 100 G's and gave my peas to bread.
And like watching the music video too just really like hooked me onto your personality.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear about the video especially, but also just the photo shoot and how that song came about.
So shout out my homies Track Team. Dope producer group like out of Atlanta. How did I come up with photo? I'm trying to think. I wanted to make a song where like the hook was like simple as fuck.
Yeah.
But like my verses was like I was very intentional with like the first verse being like just super like bouncy and catchy.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I want to like, everybody keeps talking about my high pitched voice. So I was like, I'm gonna make the hook like a deeper voice. And I was like, I'm gonna rap fast in like a deep voice on the second verse. So that was like the intent. I just wanted to do some cool shit.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be very simple, but I also wanted it to be like kind of like flexy. Which is why like on that song I'm like kind of like just popping my shit like we was just in fashion, we eating pita bread, quickly made 100 G's and gave my peas to bread, like stuff like I wanted to do just like some cool shit and just flex a little bit.
Right. That's why I feel like it's a really good intro to you too, because you get that like kind of cheeky like
for sure
like playful personality at the beginning, and then you go into that like low voice and I'm like, oh
yeah okay. I feel like it was a cool song for me to really kind of show like my vocal acrobatics, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
That at the time when I recorded that, I was like, I already knew what I wanted the visual to be.
Okay.
A lot of times when I record or make new songs, I imagine two things: how to perform it and how a video will look. So when I came up with the song, I knew I wanted to make it look like in the beginning where it's like kind of paparazzi looking.
Yeah.
I really wanted it to look like that. I wanted to go like full-fledged, full out like for that.
Right.
But unfortunately, we weren't able to get as many extras. But I wanted to like go fucking crazy with that and be like, yo, like everything is just gonna be like overtly like just like
200 cameras flashing on you.
Yeah, like oh my God, like the fuck out of my face. Like so but yeah, that was a big thing. I wanted to like kind of reference that. I like to reference a lot of old photography and old movies and ads and things, and like comic books and things like that.
Oh
and,
yeah, I mean we have to talk about the comic book influence,
yeah.
of course.
But I have this Andy Warhol book, and on my coffee table, and I just sometimes just go through it for inspiration. And I found like a picture of him holding his camera, and like he looks very like stoic. And I was like, oh, I feel like that'd be cool if I was doing that and rapping.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that on like the second hook type thing. And I when I referenced like my wristwatch, don't talk to me about a TikTok, I was like, oh, I want to reference a Rolex ad.
Right.
So that was
stuff
like that.
I often will ask people about their thoughts on social media, and I heard that line and I was like, nope. I just won't actually anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, thanks for letting me know.
For sure, yeah. No, but I mean, TikTok's cool. Shout out to TikTok. It helped change my life.
Yeah,
sure.
it does
for
do
sure.
that. But you find a lot of like inspiration in visuals.
For sure.
And the comic book influence, that's where your name comes from, right?
Yeah.
Where did that all start? Is that like been your whole life?
Pretty much. So I got into comic books early on because of my grandfather. My grandfather, he used to collect comic books too.
Yeah.
And like I'm originally from New York, right?
Oh,
and
okay.
in the newspapers, like I was like, growing up, newspapers was like still like a thing.
Oh yeah, I read the comics with my grandfather.
Yeah, so I used to read the comics page, but also like at the newspaper stand that we would get the newspapers from, they would come with a free Spider-Man comic in it.
Oh.
So that's how I got into collecting comic books.
Okay.
And then over time, I got super into like obviously like the movies, video games, TV shows.
For sure.
And then I started collecting. So like I got like a couple thousand comic books. And
damn.
Yeah, I've been collecting like my whole life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then when it was time for you to pick an artist name.
Yeah, so my real name is Nari, and I've went through so many different variations of trying to put Na in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just didn't work.
Yeah, nah. And eventually I was like, I should lean into the comic book aspect of like it's something I love so much, and I'm like,
yeah,
I should lean into like making that a part of my life too. So
and you do it in a very like classy way, especially with like the visuals. Like I love just the little mask you have on in the EP cover. It's such like a kick-ass like ode to it without being like over the top. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So and that's the thing I like to do, because with comic books and like superhero shit, it can easily be like corny as fuck.
Yeah.
And I try to be like, okay, how can I do this and make it street, or like just make it like a little bit more like consumable. So that's why I had like the grill with the mask, because it was like, okay, let me make it a little street so it's not like too corny or too goofy.
Right.
So yeah. When looking for a rap name, I was gonna go by Peter Parker, but I found out it was like a DJ with that name, so I chose Ben Reilly, which is a Peter Parker clone, and it's actually like my favorite version of Spider-Man anyway. Yeah. So it worked out.
Even cooler that it's a clone of Peter Parker, honestly. I like that.
Yeah. So
love it. So if we're talking about the Not Your Hero for Hire EP, what would be the meat of that like sort of represents the era of Ben Reilly right now?
That represents the era of Ben Reilly. Edna.
Okay.
Edna.
Incredible, I'm moving decimals, I'm in a better mood. I read in parables, I got a parables, this what you better do. Elastigirl, at a girl, I've been on par. If you on par, yeah, not need cook for that boy. Pop, shove it, bands, get deployed.
Edna or Apply Yourself and Touch a Bag. I feel like Edna really, one, it has hints of the story that I'm trying to tell on my album.
Okay.
And then, but it also I feel like it kind of touches the little swag that I had on Freelance. And it also ties into the comic book aspect, superhero
with
aspect.
Like the capes aspect of it.
So I feel like Edna's cool for that. And like sonically, I feel like Apply Yourself and Touch a Bag is a little bit more in that realm of where I want to take things.
Bitch, get a job. You work on my nerves. Go work on your mind. You should apply yourself. Bitch, get a job. You work on my nerves. Go work on your mind. You should apply yourself. I've been working on this album. Know these hoes gon' fiend for. Only worry about the outcome.
It has that really cool switch up that happens halfway through. I mean, I'm curious about how that all came about.
So with a lot of songs, when I'm like married to an idea, I try different versions out of it.
Yeah. So
like, I think I probably tried 2 different versions of that song before making that song.
Okay.
On like different beats and stuff. So the first 2 versions were more like freestyle-y, where I was just kind of just rapping the whole way through with that concept, the whole get a job, apply yourself, get some money thing.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, okay, like I want to make this the intro to the EP. And I was like, I want it to come in very cutesy, but I want people to be caught off guard, so that caught off guard enough to like I want to add a switch up, but I want this switch up to be like such a contrast to the first part.
Yeah, it was like a sucker punch.
Yeah. So when my boy Corbet, he sent me the second half of the beat, and when he sent that to me, I was like, oh shit. I was like, yo, is this still tipping? And he was like, shit, I don't even know, bro. This shit just hard. I was like, all right. I was like, we gonna do this one. And then I laid that shit like the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, that's like my favorite shit.
I loved that one. I mean, it's the first one that I heard of yours, and I was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah,
First of all.
Word.
I mean, without being like disgustingly cliche, it felt a little like the angel and the devil on your shoulder sort of thing. Because then the hook comes back in, but we have that like gritty production, and it just like totally recolors
Everything.
the first part that I heard. Yeah. I thought it was dope.
Yeah.
So that was also my choice for the meet.
Oh, word. Thank
But
you.
looking back at Edna, you said that there's hints of our upcoming album story in that.
Yeah.
Can you talk on that at all?
Yeah, no. So like my album is, like I said, I'm moving into the superhero thing heavily. Yeah. So my album is called Save, S-A-V-E.
Okay.
And it's like my superhero origin story. So I'm taking like events from my life. I'm telling different events in my life story, but making it like a linear type of thing. And trying to tie it into like the superhero concept.
Right.
So on Edna, there's parts on there where I just touch on things that have happened in my life. Yeah. When I'm like, car note annoying, phone bill annoying, ego annoying, my mama annoyed, too much noise for me and my boys. Mm-hmm. And then when I say like, way too many polo boots, niggas try to stomp me out, way too many dead homies, my bio's like a haunted house. Those are things that like my life has been like a product of. Like, yeah, I've been jumped more times than I could count. Way too many times. Yeah. And I talk about that on the album. And then like, unfortunately, I do have homies who are no longer with us, and I touched on that a little bit too. So it just gives you a little bit of insight into like things I went through, but displaying it in like a fun manner. Right. So
lighthearted, but also heavy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's what Edna was intended for. Edna was like supposed to go on the album, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool though to have like a peek of it before we get the full thing.
Exactly.
I'm excited though for the album. It will probably feel nice to have like an anthology of sorts of your life. Yeah. I mean, do you like put a lot of your real life into your music?
I always have. Always have, but like in bits and pieces. I think this album that I'm working on has been the most like overtly personal. Like it's still gonna be like a lot of fun shit, but like it's definitely been like very personal. Like so far the songs I've had, I played it for people. I've seen people get emotional to some of those songs. Yeah. And that's kind of the reaction that I kind of like. I like to see how people hear it and understand me and say I relate to that. Right. So
is it cathartic for you to do that? Is it like gutting to put your personal life in there?
Yes and no, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sharing a piece of myself regardless. Right, it's true. And I feel like a lot of people hear my music and think it's cool, but they don't really get to know me. And the only thing that's really like difficult is just figuring out how to do that without giving away too much of myself. And I think I'm walking that line pretty well. So yeah, I don't necessarily think it's cathartic, but or gutting.
It sounds healthy the way you're doing it. Like you're not, I like what you said, you're not giving too much away of yourself. Definitely. Like you're letting people in but not sacrificing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah.
Awesome. Would there be a dessert track of sorts on this upcoming album that you could maybe hint towards, or do we have a dessert somewhere else?
Yeah, we gotta get dessert somewhere else. I don't want to.
No, you're fine. Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
But yeah.
Is there maybe a track that you've been listening to a lot in like the creation of this album?
Like one of my tracks, or like
yours, or like one that's inspiring you right now?
There is a track on the album that I listen to that I visit a lot. It's called Responsibility. Okay. It's produced by Ninth Wonder. And that track definitely I revisit a lot. Yeah. It's the most personal track I've ever written.
Oh, ever?
Yeah, ever. So like I don't know. It like
a grounding one. Maybe.
It makes me real. Like it makes me think about like, okay, like I need to really, really like hone in on what I really want to say.
Yeah.
And,
it's a good one to keep you in check.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I have one final pressing question, as always.
So
I want to know who your ones to watch are.
my ones to watch.
Yeah. Who should I be listening to that you're listening to?
You should be listening to Chris Patrick,
Okay.
Marco Plus, Suave.
Mm.
I'm gonna name probably 3 or 4 more people.
Good.
Chris Patrick, Marco Plus, Suave, Kenny Mason, OK Surf,
Mm.
The Letter M, and Ben Reilly.
Yeah, who's that?
I don't know, but he's like some cool guy. He's a looker too.
I know. I keep looking at your boots too.
Thank
Those
you.
are so dope.
Thank you.
I have a friend who's like obsessed with square toe shoes and really wide leg pants.
Really?
And I'm like, I've got to show her your fit.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. This is like a new addition to my closet.
A staple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to break them in. So
Valid. I think I've had these since I was a freshman in high school, so they're broken in.
yeah, for sure. Well, you can't go wrong with docs though.
Yeah, no,
I got like
never.
50 pair of docs.
That's
Way too much. Way too many pairs.
Never too many.
Yeah,
Well, thanks so much for being here.
for sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, everybody keep an eye out for his album, but listen to Not Your Hero for Hire in the meantime.
Out now.
Oh no.
All streaming platforms.
Rock on.
Bow.
Perfect ending.